Hi, this is Seth Hawkins. We're going to go over my implementation of the classroom management plan. I had to record this before. It was too long. So I'm primarily going to focus on the changes I've made. So here in the philosophical statement, I changed it to be more centric around the classroom community because I think that is um, what is most important to me, right? Creating a classroom community where parents, admin, students, and teacher all kind of mesh together, right? Um, you meet their hierarchy of needs, you make the students feel welcome, you make the parents and the teacher on the same page. The learning outcomes for the students are just better, right? And so classroom community, I made this whole philosophical statement far more focused around that. I added sections, student teacher relationship, right? I tried to split it up a little bit more, make it a little bit more organized. Um, Here I'm talking about how important a trusting student teacher relationship is to building a positive classroom, and that when you build those strong connections with your students, they want to succeed, right? They want to impress um, their teacher if they have a good relationship with them, right? They don't want to let them down, and that is better for everyone. Um, Benefits of a strong teacher-student relationship, right? Improves self-esteem, students feel secure, all that. Just add a source on that one because I did take the list from the book. Relationship building strategies, I will implement. Some of these I've already done. Greeting by name at the door, fist bumps at the door. Basically, everything here is really centered around building that strong relationship. And I think the one I really want to point out here, I want to elaborate on is meeting one-on-one. Um, the other makes sense, right? Go to student events, show personality, be vulnerable. But meeting one-on-one was something I didn't do until I was recording my self-assessment video for the TPA. And I really had an opportunity there to get students who I have really had trouble breaking through to that I just kind of pinned it on, oh, they're shy. Um, maybe there's not that type of student that wants to talk to the teacher. Maybe they just are not sociable. Um, but when I met with them one-on-one, I kind of separated them from their friends and I got a chance to rave about how good their stories were, whatever that might be. I was able to break through to multiple of these students. So separating them from their peers was actually really effective. And so I think that that's something I'm going to implement earlier in the year next year. Um, Icebreakers, if you poll all my classmates in college, the teacher always asks, oh, do you guys like icebreakers? They hate them. I think they're great. It's a good way to start building a strong classroom community. This year, at the beginning of the year, I did the game where you had to memorize each student's name and then something interesting about them. And each time a student shared that, I had an opportunity to make small talk with them and build those connections, right? So if they say they're a gamer, oh, you stay up late all summer playing Valorant, it might be how I make that little conversation with them. It also helps me hearing the students' names, 30 times each. It's easier to remember, right? And also I get to make the classes compete against each other. So the periods built a stronger classroom community. Um, and right, I get to build strong relationships with students. In the book, he recommends just having the groups meet each other and having a classmate introduce their partner. Um, I don't like that as much. So my version, I kind of like a little bit better um, because I think everyone kind of gets to know each other. It gives them an option it makes it more competitive. Parent-teacher relationship building and family communication plan. Um, just how I plan to build relationships with parents, right? Parents with that extra um, ace in the hole, right? That's what they say. Um, they can do more than you can to motivate your student. In the book and Barron's book, he kind of talks about how a parent, they made a behavior intervention plan and the parent said like, oh, I have this stereo for you. And if you behave well for 30 days, you follow the intervention plan, I'll give you the stereo. And so that's something I can't do for every student. I can't buy $100 stereo or whatever that might be for every student, but parents have that ability, right? So when you and a parent are on the same page, you're gonna have increased learning outcomes. And it kind of also talks a little bit about my intention to pass out a syllabus and collect parent signatures. and that I'll also get like their preferred form of communication, as well as kind of inform them of how my class works. Um, ensuring success with parent guardians. So students involvement, lead academic gains, kind of like what I talked about earlier, right? Parents the ace in the hole. They can motivate students in ways you can't, right? Whether that's giving them a speaker or giving them a spanking, which I think they're allowed to do, right? In my class, I'll heavily focus on, not saying I encourage it, I will heavily focus on creating strong parent-teacher relationships. The newsletter I plan on using this year, I call it a newsletter, but that's really just a name and form. My goal is to create it as a TikTok or a short form content video. So collect each parent's contact preference at the beginning of the year, the Google form, right? Connection, building this connection with parents only going to work if you meet with them on their level, right? If that means they're an emailer, they're a texter, they're a phone caller, maybe they want snail mail, I don't know. Then I can meet with them at their level and whatever form works. Use a video newsletter to communicate your personality to your parents. I think that's great for TikTok, right? If I could use a TikTok, a short form video, or if I have to email it, that's still fine too. If the district allows me to use a TikTok, I prefer that though. And this will give me an opportunity to both connect with parents on in a form that they connect with, right? Everyone's addicted to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Shorts. They all have their different short systems. So short form content is king nowadays. And so it makes it easier to consume. And also having a newsletter like that, even though it will be aimed at parents, it gives me the opportunity to maybe share student work. And so that could be a reward for the students too, right? They'll be excited if they get to go on Mr. Hoffman's newsletter for that week or that month. And then maybe I share their assignment if I have permission from the parent or the student. Communicate more than just bad news. Yeah, this gives you an opportunity to really make that connection with the parent before you make that bad call home, right? So 2 good calls home for every bad call home, and this kind of does good. It puts a good step in there. I could also collect a survey where parents let me know about their children. So they get down write down all the things that about their student that I should know, right? Maybe that's they do well in this situation. They do well in this situation. They like playing this. They like not doing this. They don't like this kind of classroom. They do like this kind of classroom. People like talking about themselves. People like talking about their kids. And so this kind of also starts us off on a good note, right? Use Classroom, Instagram, or Twitter page. Help keep families in touch. If approved by district, great. Social media is only going to work, go as far as my district lets me. My goal would be TikTok though. Make information available in the parent's native language. I already do that. We have a para that helps make everything available for that family. Use a Google form to collect family performance communication. I think I already know. My classroom will utilize a bi-monthly parent square newsletter in short form video format. So this is the way I already have declared it to do it, right? I prefer TikTok, but I can do it in this form too. Short 1-2 minute video that goes out this way. Mimicking the short form content that parents already consume is going to increase engagement. I think the students will want to see it too, even if it's not directed for them. And it keeps it in a format they're very familiar with. Classroom layout. Basically here I'm just kind of talking about how assigning seats from day one makes all students feel welcome, even those that might not have friends or might not know who to sit next to. And so I start them from day one, right? Heterogeneous, homogeneous grouping to accommodate ELs, to accommodate students of different skill levels. I utilize both, and the results I find varies. My ideal classroom arrangement, I kind of added some stuff here. I didn't really have a whiteboard on there for you. I'm in a co-teaching classroom, so we have a horseshoe table that my co-teacher will work at for students, DSPS, ELs, whatever students might need special accommodations, they'll kind of work with Neil. And then I use grouping because I think it's the best way to build a classroom community. Right, we build strong connections within our tables. It just opens up the classroom for way more different styles of teaching, right? So this is just me clarifying, saying kind of what we said. Classroom agreements. I would want to create my classroom agreements in a Socratic circle. I've tried using this before, and so what I've taken from the book to kind of implement to improve this is my promises to the class, right? So last time I tried to do this, the class was just offering, like, I was suggesting these crazy things that we couldn't do, right? Starbucks Fridays or this or that. And so by making my promises to the classroom, I promise to make sure Matt, the janitor, doesn't have to clean the floor longer than 10 minutes after school, or whatever, then I can make these promises that somehow make it to where the student's rules then kind of have to mesh with mine, and we can find a good middle ground. So I do want to try again this year, but I think that making the promises that were outlined on page 29 to the students, give them a clear understanding of my intentions, a clear understanding of what I expect in the classroom, and a clear framework for them to create their own rules. So yeah, we'll have a Socratic circle. I'll also accompany it with an anonymous survey because I know some students don't want to speak out in that kind of situation, right? I was one of those kids too. So it'll give them an opportunity to kind of voice their opinions, make sure they feel both seen and heard. And if students don't want to sign it, then we can have individual meetings with those students, right? So we'll create the rules together. Then we'll have slips where each student signs it and gets it. So like I, Seth, as a member of Mr. Hoffman's class, commit to raising my hand to speak, right? Or I commit to doing this, right? So we'll make the rules together, and then they sign the rules, and I collect that and hold on to it so that when we are discussing behavior later in the year one-on-one with a student, maybe I show them, well, you have these agreements here and you sign them. Why aren't we able to do these anymore? Is there something going wrong here? Room routines. Class must have clear and consistent routines. So if there's no structured task, students are going to use the time as they choose, right? So do nows when they get in the door are going to make it very clear what the task is. They know they do their do now. It's a 5-minute response to a prompt on the board every day when they get in. They know what they do. Daily agendas, that's going to lower the amount of questions I have to answer when it comes to what are we doing today? What's the homework for tonight? Or yeah, daily agenda. Look at the daily agenda. Check it out. That question will soon destroy itself if I have a daily agenda every day. In my classroom, I use clear signifiers for transition time. I keep it classic. I like callbacks. Bum, bada, bum, bum. Oh, Riley, if I'm feeling spicy. And they'll do the auto parts. So when students need to return to their seats, I do a countdown, which varies depending on the class needs. I also observed another teacher, and there's things I want to steal from them that I thought were great. She used bells, a bell, and the students responded well to that. She also had popsicle sticks for cold calling, but the students were kind of trained to, when she picked up the popsicle sticks, they were quiet, right? She rolled dice. Students knew that when they rolled the dice, they had to be quiet. Practicing desk transition procedures. This is another thing I observed from another teacher. They already had set up Socratic circle, like miniature Socratic circles, so like the groups split in groups of like 6 or whatever, and have Socratic seminars related to whatever their book is. End of class routine, right? Exit tickets, make sure they're aware of this. Preview tomorrow's lesson, check for understanding. Kind of helps me adapt my lesson plan for the next day. Assessments and grading plans, right? I'm just saying here basically that quick response on their grades is going to encourage students to work more. They always know where they stand. The 50% is the minimum when they don't do an assignment. It's a school-wide policy, but also I have seen that when you do that, students that didn't do work for the first 3 months, like me, are more likely to kind of try and catch up, right? So also utilize CFAs. We make common assessments inter department, right? So all 8th grade ELA teachers will teach kind of the same thing. We give out tests. We see well, how do you teach this that worked better? How did you teach this? Daily exit tickets and the unit summative assessments, right? They put in the work to answer that. It gives me a gauge of how effective was that unit. And also gives a chance studying is going to put that into the student's brain. I think it's just good practice. Student behavior plan. I kind of adapted this one here. Instead of giving like verbal warnings, which is something I did this year, I'm going to use sticky notes, right? So I use the 5 consequence intervention system that was in the reading, but I changed to sticky notes. That way I can not verbally disrupt the class, brings less negative attention to the student, and it doesn't disrupt me from teaching, right? So, but the student still gets the message, right? And I think I had a 3-step system where 3 was call home, and there wasn't really a middle ground there. And so adding the 10-minute timeout, 15-minute timeout, it really kind of is going to snip in the bud, right? Classic classroom management techniques, 3-step cycle of behavior management, shows like teaching behaviors, positively reinforce those behaviors that are done properly. and use negative consequences only after positive rewarding the others. I added this section here. This is a little bit more about how these are going to be implemented in my class, like the practiced behaviors, right? Starting any classes to do now, the exit tickets, we're going to practice those. Show them where the agenda is, right? Show students hand signs for sharpening pencils, getting water when they're moving around the classroom, show how we raise our hands to ask questions, make sure students respect their peers and don't speak over classmates who are participating. Basically, don't assume the kids know how to operate within the classroom because they don't, right? Make these signs, the hand signs visual, put posters on the wall so they know, hey, this is the bathroom sign, or hold up your pencil, be sharpen your pencil. And then, yeah, by teaching these things, um, just less questions, less things that disrupt me from the lesson, the more things I can make non, right? PBIS systems. My school has PBIS systems, Pride tickets. The Pride tickets I give out, they show patience, respect, integrity, determination, excellence. I also use snacks in my classroom, right? So in the book, they talk about how the parent uses a stereo. I can't really do that, but I do have chips, candies, an extra, more immediately gratifying way of rewarding students than a Pride ticket that they can spend in the student store. Catch students being good, let them know you like it, right? That's, I think I talked about it. My student Khalil, beginning of the year, was a trouble student for everyone else. He was a trouble student for me at the beginning of the year. My favorite student, but a trouble student. And so just made sure to positively reinforce everything he did that worked well, right? So I had to get on him, raise your hand, you got to raise your hand and talk, right? When he raised his hand, I'd always call him first, right? I'd always tell him, wow, dude, you're doing such a good job raising your hand. Wow, you're doing such a good job doing this. Good job doing this. And really worked on that relationship with the student. I used to go to Ike's to get sandwiches at lunch, and they always give me a caramel apple sucker. So I'd flip Cleo a little caramel apple sucker. And so doing that created a strong relationship with Khalil. And then when I had the opportunity and he was really improving in my class, I gave him student of the month, right? And so at that point, after that, Khalil was an excellent student for the rest of the year. And I heard that that was not the case in his other classes. So just building that strong relationship really was effective. And here's Khalil, right? This isn't actually Khalil, this is a kid I found online. After greeting students at your door, you enter and someone's standing on and dancing on a desk, right? So how do we diffuse the situation? Well, first of all, I want you to kind of keep in mind, a student who's standing on the desk wants attention, right? So if you go, Khalil, get off that desk, they're getting exactly what they want. They'll probably, huh, what? I'm not supposed to do this? And then you got to kind of, it's become a whole confrontation. It's not effective, right? You do the look. And I think I mastered the look. And they get down, right? So my goal is here, and the reason I chose that is we give the student as less attention, right? They want attention, don't reward them. On parent page 78, he says choose path of least resistance. Usual situations like this can be repaired by giving a look to the student. If the student chooses to argue with me, huh, what am I doing? Don't argue with a young adolescent. It's like wrestling with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig loves it. I like that. So he recommends not putting on a show for the class. So don't blame, ridicule, or back the student into a corner. He knows he's not supposed to be on that desk. That's come on, right? Look at him, kind of do it with your face. Get down, right? If you gotta do it with your hands, get down. Don't let the situation blow up any bigger, right? It's going to take away from your class time. And if your goal is to just kind of recollect the class, regain the focus, the less of a situation you create, the more effectively you can manage that behavior. And then also I give him, right, the consequence intervention system. He gets a sticky note for that I mentioned on slide 21. Just some things I changed, why I changed them. I tried to add the Mr. Hawkins plan, theorist plan to kind of show that I'm not just copying their things, but also kind of adapting to my classroom and what I like, what works for me. The sources list, when I kind of combine them together, I kind of had it already in B and not an A, and so I just kind of fixed that up. Assessment grading plan, it needed improved pretty badly. I couldn't access that on EBSCO, on the one search engine or any of the library resources. So I just elaborated based on things I learned in other classes. I attempted to refocus my philosophical statement to kind of show my primary concern is building strong relationships in the classroom. I'm more focused on relationships building a strong classroom community. I fixed some citations instead that weren't cited properly. I was missing some points on my classroom diagram, so I added them. Added more assessment and grading plans. I kind of explained why I wasn't doing so well that first time around. Changed consequence intervention system. I kind of made it sticky notes instead of verbal warnings. I did verbal warnings this year, not very effective, right? It kind of distracts the class. It creates more of a negative reinforcement. And so I like the sticky notes better. It's nonverbal. I can kind of keep the attention of the classroom on me. And yeah, so here's my source list, and that is it. Let's hope I kept it under 20 minutes this time. Thank you very much. Have a good night.